Hello, everyone. Trent Matthews here. I'm one of the board of directors for the Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce, and tonight I am with the president, Rick Phibbs, and we want to welcome you to Election Night Fort Erie. Welcome, Rick. This is going to be an exciting night. This is almost like the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup because the space at this time is heated. Don't you agree?
Well, certainly we've had a lead up to this election. It's obvious there's been a number of different issues and events that have transpired over the previous 4 years of council. And even going back in the previous 4 years of council, a number of different things that have transpired that certainly led up to what we're probably going to see and witness this evening with this election.
And one thing I noticed too is let's see what's going on. Like, the town has been so heated with all these counselors and the voting, and it's basically almost tearing the town between parts and parts. Instead, we should actually start working on uniting and building a better Fort Erie.
And that came out with some of the questions that were submitted from the public with respect to some of our different all candidates nights. Of course, as many of you know, the Chamber of Commerce held 3 different all candidates nights because of the large amount of people we had seeking political office this year. We began in Stevensville with wards 4, 5, and 6 on Thursday, October 2nd. We continued on Tuesday, October 7th. We heard from candidates for wards 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, we finished off with a big turnout at the Leisureplex on Thursday, October 16th with mayor and regional council candidates.
And that was a great night because we had over 600 people that were there, and it was a standing room only.
Yes.
And it really does show that the town has really getting involved. Like, I hear that there's a lot of people coming out for this election compared to past elections, which is an amazing turnout. Like, one thing that you're saying is, we have to get out there, educate ourselves, inform ourselves. And I think some of the people are getting to that. Like, we're definitely getting, like you said, a lot of candidates that are coming out, showing their passion for the town.
Well, certainly, as I led off with, some of the issues that have resonated throughout this town have been divisive in nature. And I think that's why we're seeing what we anticipate will be an increase in voter turnout this evening. Of course, in 2010, we had barely over 41% voter turnout. And as I've said on different occasions, that's extremely disappointing. We're hopeful tonight that because of some of the issues and some of the events that have transpired the past 4 years, even go back to the previous 4 years of the previous council, that it will resonate with a larger amount of voter turnout this evening. And by virtue, you would think that would be the case because of the number of candidates that are seeking political office.
And like I said, there's a lot of issues that are going on in the town that we're going to be addressing. Like, for example, the Canadian Motor Speedway. That is one of the major projects that we have coming up. And with the Miller Creek Marina, that's revenue that could be coming into there. And there was a lot of debates and a lot of discussions during this election of this growth, correct?
Yes, certainly that's true. Now, mind you, the current people that are seeking office, they don't really have, it's not really much of a decision to be made on things like the Canadian Motor Speedway, because that has been passed and has gone through all the hurdles it has to go through by this council. One of the only outstanding issues is the ratification of the state plan agreement. And that should be ideally forthcoming in the not too distant future, that the new council coming in will have to deal with. But most of the tough sledding has been done vis-a-vis this current council that's changing tonight, and the previous council before that. The Millers Creek Marina project, that's something that we heard come out during all of our candidates' nights at some point in time during discussion, either through direct questions that were helped to be posed through you, the electorate, and or through comments made by each of the candidates. It's a $200 million project that would have huge benefits to the town of Fort Erie. For various reasons, it's been held up, but it's something that we're hopeful with a cohesive and a collaborative council that we can get the necessary ratification to get this up and going.
The other thing I noticed is with some of the candidates, even some of the issues that seem small, but they're really not, they also stuck to their guns on a lot of things. For example, the swimming pool that's down at Sugar Bowl. And that's been coming up pretty well too. A lot of people are defending it. They're saying, yes, they want to work towards making it happen again. So like I said, it seems like all the issues are getting definitely covered this election, and there's a lot of strength in a lot of numbers, which is kind of nice to see.
Well, it's interesting within Fort Erie with 6 different wards that each ward has an issue or something that is of particular importance that resides within that area. Obviously, with Crystal Beach, of course, it was the Bay Beach condo development, and those that were for and those that were against. As you're indicating with the pool, the Kinsman Pool on Gilmore Road in Fort Erie, that resides in Ward 1, and we heard that with each candidate who was seeking election in Ward 1, the importance of trying to find the funds to resurrect that pool and get it open again. But then beyond that, finding a long-term solution to providing a new, upgraded, more modernized swimming structure for our youth.
Right. And we also have in this election also the trustees for the school boards. And this is not just for our area. These are trustees that will be going out through, I believe, Port Colborne also, and they're having this election. So it's definitely, these people have very important jobs, and they're going to take a lot of time to do this, just like the counselors. And a lot of people don't realize how much importance the trustees have towards our communities that we have for our kids and our education in these systems.
Well, certainly, as we know, trustees are responsible for setting school board's overall policy direction and the board's budget, and they represent the interests of the community. And as we've seen, particularly here in Fort Erie, there has been some very contentious issues within the school board. We've had schools close, we've had schools open. One of the big things right now is the amalgamation and relocation of our 2 area high schools, Fort Erie High School and Ridgeway Crystal Beach High School. The idea is to close each school as we know it and reopen an amalgamated school with a site to be determined, and have that open and operational for the fall of 2017. So certainly at a school board level, mind you, I'm making mention to the district school board. That's something that's on their watch, is something that's of vital importance to this community. And we heard that come out with some of the comments from some of the different candidates at our all candidates nights. The idea that they're for the amalgamation of the 2 schools, and they look upon it as an opportunity perhaps to start by overcoming some of the parochialism that existed within Fort Erie, and it's an opportunity to perhaps bring a unification where it's not necessarily east versus west or west versus east. It's an amalgamation, and it's a united front.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's unfortunately we didn't have time to have an all candidates night with our school board trustees, but they were at every all candidates night, handing out their flyers and their information, and we're giving a lot of chances for getting to recognize them, get to know who they are and what they're standing for. So this is what we're trying to do here at the Chamber of Commerce, is getting everybody to have their say. We're not trying to support one person or another, like all these people that are coming on, we because let's face it, it takes a lot of guts and courage to put their hand or hat into the ring, more or less, and saying, you know what, I believe that I want to do a difference to Fort Erie. I want to make a difference. Like we've had people that are from small businesses to large businesses that are putting their hats in to give their time and effort. And I think that's a pretty good thing and pretty amazing to see. You agree?
Oh, definitely, I agree, and that's something I've spoken at each of our all candidates nights, is that it does, as you say, it takes a lot of guts and courage, and a lot of personal sacrifice with your home life as well, because you are taking on a considerable amount of time and effort that's required to fulfill and lead your whatever it is, if you're a school board trustee, if you're a counselor seeking election within your respective ward, or if regional council and looking to represent Fort Erie regionally, and or seeking the position of mayor within Fort Erie. It is a real time commitment. And as we've seen, it can be contentious, some of the issues, and it can be divisive at times too. So it takes a special people to get involved that have that resiliency, that it's great and wonderful when everything's going well and you're looked upon as the hero. But you've got a pretty thick skin when things get heated and become confrontational and divisive, and we've witnessed that over the past 4 years.
Yeah, and let's face it, like I said, with the regional council and everything like that, they do put a lot of time and effort, and they definitely are forefront speaking for Fort Erie, for regional. And a lot of people don't know how much of an effort these gentlemen put forward, like in each ward that they're representing. Because, like, for example, they get 2 votes really for each ward, the mayor and the regional chair, like the one that gets voted. So there's a lot of issues that they are fighting for Fort Erie for a regional stance. So that's one thing that a lot of people are not understanding, or not, for sure.
Well, certainly, it's regional council is made up by representation by population. And you're right, within Fort Erie, we're allowed 2 representatives. The mayor sits at regional council on behalf of Fort Erie, as well as 1 elected official. The incumbent the last few years has been John Teal. Now, this is going to be a hotly contested fight tonight, and it'll be interesting watching the results as they come in tonight, because he's up against 3 other challengers, and it should prove interesting. But to your point, regional council is responsible for about 46 cents, I believe, out of every dollar that we as taxpayers pay into the coffers. And we heard it come through at some of the candidates tonight the past couple of weeks. Questions and issues on the high costs of water delivery, the state of the roads within Fort Erie that fall under regional jurisdiction, the whole aspect of governance across Niagara, and is there too much elected officials at various levels? Is there too much regional council elected officials? And right now there's currently 30 that sit at regional council that are made up of regional councilors and mayors across Niagara, of course the 12 mayors and the various regional councilors that make that up. So it's certainly not without its fair share of debate right now, too.
And the other thing that we've noticed is there was a big heat debate about amalgamation, for or against it, but either way, it was a very hot topic at our all candidates night. Like, this is one thing that that has always been on the heels of us for a long time, considering our population compared to, like, for example, the GTA, and the fact that we are identities. But that was a hot topic at one of our all candidates nights, for sure.
Well, it's something that's always been out there, that issue of what we are is not only Fort Erie, but all of Niagara. And of course, we're barely 440,000 in collective population here in Niagara. And there's been a lot of discussion if we might have be served by a better model of governance in a volunteer system. We had that question come up through submission through the electorate. It was posed to our regional council candidates on the 16th of October, and we heard varying viewpoints from the four that are seeking a position. So it's certainly something that's a hot topic issue, and it leads itself into the whole question of intermunicipal transit within Niagara and how we find a cost affordable delivery method based upon trying to satisfy 430,000 people when we do have such a vast population base that's in different hamlets and different corners from east to west.
And let's face it, we do have a lot of rural areas too. So it's kind of hard because of the fact we have such much distance. If you take exactly how much land mass we have compared to the land mass in Toronto, for example, we're actually bigger than what Toronto is. But the thing is, because of the fact we have all this urban community, that's one reason why we don't have as mass transit. And people have to ask themselves, well, is it going to be cost effective? It's not. Like I said, this is a lot of hot topics for sure that's coming out in this election. Now we have 14 more minutes before the polls are closing, but like I said, if you still have time, get out there and vote, because pretty soon you won't have a chance to. And let's face it, the more people vote, the better chances of change. And that's what one thing we're looking forward to is seeing what's going to happen with this new council. Because let's even face it, the new mayor, our mayor's now retiring, so now we're getting 5 new candidates that are going for mayorship. That's going to be pretty impressive for our town.
Well, certainly, Trent, you're 100% right, and that's one of the big interesting issues of all Niagara is what's going to happen with the position here in Fort Erie. Our incumbents we've have had the last 2 terms for the last 8 years has been Doug Martin, and he's chosen not to seek re-election, and I believe he's going off into a different direction in his life, retiring, and so he's abdicated the throne, as they say, and we have 5 worthy candidates that are seeking to replace him. So that will certainly be something that will be interesting tonight when the election results come in, as to just how this is going to unfold for Mayor Ford for the next 4-year period.
Yeah, definitely. And just to let everyone know too, if you have the internet, you can still listen to Rick and I ramble on. But if you want to, you can also go to the town.forterie.ca/elections, and right there they will show you an up-to-date as the poll comes in. Well, we'll give you the information too, but if you need to know yourselves, go to there. Like I said, it's definitely going to get heated. We're here at Town Hall. People are slowly coming in. And this is going to be a very interesting night for sure. Like, let's face it, this town is going through a lot of changes and a lot of growth, I would say, in the next little while, and also growing pains, because let's face it, with new leadership, it's going to be new reigns and new styles and that. And that's one thing I think we're going to be seeing a lot of. And hopefully we're going to be seeing also a stronger team build here in Fort Erie.
Well, certainly we've heard that expression come out, the words collaboration. We've heard the words unity come out. Some of our different candidates, and I think people are looking to a new council that brings more of those elements to it, where there is a collaborative approach, where there is a more teamwork-like approach. Obviously, the past 4 years, we witnessed a very divided council, contentious issues at times that resulted in a split vote on a number of different occasions. And, it soon became evident that there was a rift that existed, and be it whatever side that you sat on the respective issue, it divided the town. So I think as we said from the outset, that people, I think, are going to get out more en masse to vote this year, because they they want to see some type of change. I think there was a certain degree of dissatisfaction with how things unfolded over the past 4 years, and that's certainly not a slight to any of the candidates that sat during the previous 4-year term, but rather just a comment of just how things have been perceived. And we've heard it from you, the electorate, with your comments and some of your questions that you submitted to us for these past all candidates night. So certainly there's challenges within foreign. I think they've been well documented, but at the same time, there's a certain degree of optimism. There's a certain degree of opportunity that I think employ the aspect of the challenges that exist. And I think if through a different council, through some different approaches, through some different styles of representing, we can look to perhaps heal the town, to perhaps unify the town, and bring some of these elements to fruition. Some of these things that you talked about earlier, Trent, the Canadian Motor Speedway, the Miller Creek Marina are two large-scale projects that could significantly alter the landscape permanently for Fort Erie in what we feel in a very positive fashion. So yes, there are challenges, but at the same time, I think there's some terrific opportunities.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And let's face it, there's a couple other issues that also came up through EDTC. You know, there are, and there's a lot of different decisions on what they would like to see forthcome to the EDTC and also the Fort Erie racetrack, because with the new buyers and the new growth potential, what's going to happen there. This has been a very interesting 4 years for the racetrack itself, the EDTC, and also people's opinions. You know, like for example, we're getting all these blogs appearing, and and this is also what's been given to the town, because people are writing what they're thinking and that, and instead of finding a commonality, it's almost like a he said, she said, and it's not that time now, folks. It's time that we work as a town and make this exactly what it's supposed to be. We are the greater Fort Erie, and we should be working on the word great and work together as a team.
Well, certainly to your point, I guess that's reflective of the aspect of social media today. A lot of these people, perhaps maybe 10 years ago, before the social media took off, was taken off, it was coffee shop banter, or hotel room talk, dissatisfaction or disenchantment with political decisions or political leaders or people that are leading us. Now through social media, now people have more of an opportunity to be heard, and they voice their opinions, and it gets out there in mass. I'm not really a proponent one way or the other. I think it's good in the sense that you have involvement and you're passionate and you're engaged on issues. But at times, I think it can come across adversely in the sense that it puts a negative connotation out there in the town, and certain figures that represent us may perhaps be fairly, but perhaps maybe a lot of times more unjust. So it's something that's out there. It's something that I don't know how to overcome it, because I don't think you're ever going to have 100% commitment or 100% satisfaction on any particular issue, but it's something, I guess, that we have to deal with.
Right. And like I said, the other thing that's happening too is I was very impressed at the mayoral candidates. There was no heckling. Everyone was listening and respecting the candidates, which is very impressive. I found that very passionate and very heartwarming to see that many people in a standing room, and everyone was patient. They were quiet, and they were letting the representatives speak without any heckling. So I think that was also shows you that these people are wanting to know the facts. They want to hear these people that are running for their seats, because it's giving them the time to express their thoughts, their opinions. And I think that's one thing I'm really happy about when we did these all candidates nights is we had people that were representing the town and also respecting our candidates. So we do appreciate it, Fort Erie.
Well, I guess it's just a testament to the fact we are Canadians and that we are fairly well behaved by nature. As we know, there was a little bit of heat in the debate that took place when we were out in Stevensville. We held wards 4, 5, and 6, but we tried to speak towards that prior to the all candidates nights, beginning with wards 1, 2, and 3, and with the mayor and regional council debate. 16th of October, we tried to set a tone in the room by pointing out the virtues of just what it takes to get up there and want to represent and politely ask the public to respect the wishes of the Greater Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce and to be respectful of the candidates for taking their time and to give each candidate fair opportunity to be heard. And as I said, at the conclusion of that their best opportunity to oppose or deny any particular comment or action that any past candidate or proposed candidate stance that they had or were taking is today, October the 27th. They cast your vote, and as I said numerous times, get out and know the candidate. Certainly get out and know the issues, do your homework, do your due diligence, and then cast your vote accordingly. And that's how you truly affect change.
And with that in mind, we only got 4 more minutes before the polls are closing, even though we'll have to wait a little bit because looking at the stations here, for example, the mayor, we have 9 recording stations, regional councils, 9. The trustees, we have 10 boards. For the District School Board of Niagara, the trustees for the Niagara Catholic District School Boards 11, and trustee for the French Catholic School Boards is 10. And in our Ward 1, we're 3 recording stations. Ward 2, we have 3. Ward 2. Ward 3, we have 2 reporting. At the Councilor's Ward, we have 2. And Councilor 5, we have 2 reporting. And also Councilor 6, we have 3 polling stations. So like I said, there's going to be a little time that we have to tell everybody's numbers in, but with the new way that they did the polling today, it basically goes through a automated reader and they get all the numbers. So at the end of the night, all they have to do is hit a printout and they get the exact numbers. So it's no longer like the old-fashioned count anymore.
Yeah.
It's an actual automated. One thing that we did talk about at the debate also was the electronic through the internet voting. Even though we're not doing this election, there's other people in the region that are doing this election for this time around. And there's definitely a lot of interesting people saying, it would support it as long as it's not tamper-proof. I mean, it is tamper-proof because they don't want that to be someone hacking in voting for one person or the other.
Well, you're right, Trent, and it's something that's relatively new that's out there, new technology, and it'll be interesting to when we reconvene again in another 4-year time frame, just how much technology will change things. Perhaps we will all be voting at some point in time in the future via the computer and internet voting.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's just changing with the times. Like, let's face it, when we first did it, it was the old let's write secret ballot and then hand it into there, and things are changing. It's no longer a ballot poll. It's still a ballot, but it goes through an automated reader, and now pretty soon it will be e-voting. So for people that can't usually make it to these places because they're either elderly, like even though elections sometimes does have that courtesy of going to people's houses that can't make it or proxy voting, there's things like that, but this would make life a lot easier because all they have to do is just bring a laptop, person puts their information in, and then they can vote. So like I said, the times are changing, so hopefully maybe in the near distant future, we'll be looking at something like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got 1 minute to go, and then it will be 8 o'clock, and the polls will be closing. And then Rick and I will be telling you, Dave, as they come in, what's happening. And, this is going to be an interesting race because right now it's anybody's race, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, just like leading to Christmas, a minute before midnight on Christmas Eve. So I think we're all sitting here with bated breath and anticipation of what the outcome over the next half hour, 45 minutes to an hour. It should certainly show what's trending and who's pulling away and who's leading who. So over the course of the next hour, sit back and prepare to be entertained. It should be some, as we've said over the last half hour that we've been on air, we've got some really interesting races, and obviously the mayor is a big one, and the regional council. I think that's another excellent race that's going to certainly be exciting to watch as it unfolds over the course of the evening.
Well, that's one thing. And polls are officially closed now because it's past 8 o'clock. But you brought up an interesting point. We have 5 different kind of candidates for the mayoral election. It's definitely anybody's race, and with each person that has run, they all bring something different to this campaign or to this mayorship that in the past probably hasn't been as different as it is now with this election. You have an incumbent on there. You have 2 past presidents of the Chamber of Commerce. You also have a city councilor, and also, let's face it, a reporter that used to report all what's going on. So he has his finger on the with what's going on in the town as well. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting election to see what people are thinking because, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen, but it's definitely going to be something different.
Well, I think you're right because of the fact we don't have an incumbent seeking re-election for this for mayor in Fort Erie. We have a seasoned veteran in Redcoff, a previous 2-term mayor, a previous regional council representative, and I believe at one point he may have even served on council for a term. So certainly a seasoned veteran of municipal government, well-respected individual within the town of Fort Erie, and he will probably be a formidable contender in this. And as you said, he's up against current councillor Stephen Passero, young, energetic.
Been on several boards and everything like that.
Certainly, you're 100% right. He's served on a variety of different boards. He's passionate. He's energized, engaged individual. As you said, a former president of the Greater Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce. And in saying that, so's one of his opponents, Dean Demizio.
He was on for your soccer club and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, certainly. And of course, I took over from Dean this past spring. And Dean, another guy who's lived in Fort Erie, I believe, for the last 20 years. He's operated a local insurance business, done very well, and comes across as a very devout family man and husband. And in talking with him earlier tonight, we heard him say, he's going out to a local eatery with his family and with his mother and father. So he will be there, without having the political experience per se on council or regional councillor, but will be another strong contender. And then, of course, another person we can't take lightly is Aaron Noyes.
Yeah, well,
she came within 5 votes in 2010 of becoming the mayor, and she represented Stevensville, Black Creek area prior to seeking election as mayor in 2010. I believe for the previous 3 terms. So
yeah, she was in for about 14 years, I believe they said.
14 years. So
yeah.
Okay, so about a four-term councillor representing Stevensville and Black Creek. And so you have to think if a lot of those votes that he garnered in 2010 come across this evening, it's hard to say.
And Mike,
She's going to be formidable.
Mike also, if you look at Mike's background, he is a writer, a newspaper journalist, but also Mike's been on several boards himself. And he's always been trying to look for advantage of, he's been always trying to find out what's going on in town. He's been educating himself. He's been in all the budget meetings. Excuse me. He's been almost to every single council meeting. He's trying to find what's going on, and he wants to do improvements too. And he's putting his heart on his sleeve on this election, and he's definitely also, it could be another, but you know what, he is definitely grown momentum in this election for sure.
I think you're right, Trent. And certainly from the aspect of being a journalist and reporting on Fort Erie for a number of years, he certainly does have the pulse of the community, the pulse of the issues that have resided within Fort Erie over the last number of years since he's had the beat. And I think he does a pretty good handle on what people want in this town, and so he's come out, perhaps maybe considered a dark horse, but certainly he'll take some votes as well this evening.
Yeah, and then, like I said, it's going to be an interesting night for you folks, because let's face it, we all don't know what's going to happen, but as long as we did what my father always says, if you don't vote, you can't complain. So let's keep that in mind. So if you didn't vote, I'm sorry, folks. You got to try to keep it under the hat, because let's face it, we're working at trying to make the town different. We're trying to make a change. So if you really want to show your support, you should have came out tonight and voted, because that's important.
Well, certainly you're very good, Trent. And, you really don't have room to criticize or comment either positively or negatively if you don't have the willingness and the energy to get involved. And there's not much you can say.
Yeah. Well, if the room is solely getting full here at Town Hall, which is very good, it shows also the people's support here. Like, we have a few of the candidates that are running. I've seen Heather Salter, and I also seen Rick Schuler here so far out of the candidates. Some of our press people are also here covering the affair, which is kind of nice. I've seen James Kulik and Sarah Ferguson, who also was part of our question that we to get this whole candidates night. When we got all these questions, they had to go through the questions and found what questions were really the most relevant, and so that we would, it didn't show that we were biasing. We were actually working with them to try to make sure we get the best questions possible.
Well, you're right, Trent. And what we elected to do as a board is we instructed our Business and Government Affairs Committee to bring in two people from the media to sit with the Business and Government Affairs Committee as part of the group that would shortlist and craft the questions that would be asked for each of our all candidates nights. And with that, we also solicited to you, the electorate, your thoughts, opinions, and questions that you had that you felt were worthy and relevant. And from that, the Business and Government Affairs Committee, along with James Kulik and along with Sarah Ferguson, two local respected beat followers here within Fort Erie, working with two competing newspaper organizations, put together a nice cross-section of questions that we got a lot of positive feedback from people after the all candidates nights were held as to what the issues were. And there's commonality in some of the questions, but yet there was some uniqueness to some of the questions between each of the different wards and with regional council representatives and the mayor candidates. So,
and one thing I really liked about having them on board, they were almost like our fact checker. So there was a question that we thought, well, is this or is not? They were the ones that went, well, I remember this, and so they were basically our fact checkers to make sure that we were asking appropriate questions and also relevant questions to the all candidates night, which I found a very good asset for sure.
Certainly. I would say overall, Trent, you're 100% right. And as a Chamber of Commerce, I think we benefited by their inclusion into the crafting and the shortlisting of the questions that came in from the public.
Well, people, like I said, we're waiting for the first coming in, so just stay patient. And like I said, you want to get the updates as we're looking at it, go to the town.forterie.ca/election, and you'll have the up-to-date as the votes are coming in. Nothing of yet, but it won't be much longer before we start seeing some of these numbers. Now let's talk about the regional councilors. We did have an incumbent that came back, John Teal. He's looking to regain his seat, and we have a bunch of new people that came out. One of them was almost every street corner you saw in town. There he was with his thumbs up, trying to get people's attention. Like Murray is definitely one of those guys that are trying to get noticed for his campaign, and it's quite interesting how he went through his campaign. We also have Sandy Azanata, who was past councilor here for Ward 1. And we also have Bob Steckley, who is a councilor that decided to throw his hat into regional chair. So we have, once again, four good candidates.
Well, I think you're right, Trent, and the fact that, as I said earlier, it'll be an interesting race to watch this evening as it unfolds. We have a longtime incumbent in John Teal, and well-known, well-respected former mayor of Fort Erie, but he's up against three formidable opponents this evening. Bob Steckley is a former councilor for the town of Fort Erie. I think he's been on a couple terms. I believe he came on in 2006 and was re-elected in 2010 and elected to leave his council, which was Ward 3, and seek election as a regional councilor. Ray Murray, very a different style and approach to how he carried himself through the election. Kind of took a blue-collar approach, and campaigned on just about every significant street corner that existed within Fort Erie, Ridgeway, Crystal Beach, Stevensville, and I think he gained a lot of notoriety, I guess, if you will, as a result of that. It was certainly garnered a lot of attention, and it was a topic of conversation with a lot of people because he was high profile out there, and as you say, he would be out there Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, weekends, holding signs and just letting people know that he's out there. So he campaigned on the high price of water within Fort Erie and at the regional council level, and he also campaigned heavily on a different cost delivery method for waste management, garbage pickups. So those were a couple of ideas and thoughts that he had that were of what he was campaigning on. And then, of course, rounding out the four is another former town of Fort Erie councilor, Sandy Nunziata. Sandy was on, I believe, just the one term, and then I think he went on to try to seek provincial. I believe, with no success. Certainly, a person who's campaigned hard in this election, and will obviously be a real challenger here this evening.
And right now, with just some of the polls that are coming in, we got 1 of 9 so far. It's Wayne Riddicup who's in the lead, with Stephen Pissarro basically secondary going in there. So the first round, it's definitely looking like a Wayne and Stephen fight, but this is still too early to decide because, like I said, it's 1 of 9. Sandy is also leading in the councilors right now, with John Teal a close second. So, like I said, and also with Ward 2, it looks like Rick Schuller's ahead. But like I said, it's still too early to decide because the votes are still coming in. So, like I said, it's still too early to tell you who's going to be the winner of this. But it's going to be a nail biter all the way through, I think.
Yeah, kind of surprising a little bit here. Like, but as you say, as you qualify, it is only one poll returning at this point. But the seasoned veteran is pulled away a little bit. He's out front with. Well, it's an update. He's up to almost 1,000 votes, so he's almost got a 2-to-1 ratio over the second place, which at this point is Steve Pacero. So that's interesting. We have 2 polls reporting at this point with Wayne Redicott almost a 2-to-1.
Yeah, and also we're getting right now Ward 6 out of the incumbent, but it looks like right now it's Chris Nutt and with Taya Lockwood in basically second place. But once again, people, this is one of 3 stations. So we got a little bit more to come in. And like I said, it's an any man's race or one's race because this race, there's a lot of basically everyone came out, like there was men, women, which is great to see because it shows that everyone has a passion for sure in this town, and it's going to be very interesting to see who comes. Like for example, even Ward 3, we had a past counselor that came into it. We also have a past president of the Chamber of Commerce again, Kimberly Zanko, and also George A. Jr. And so there is a lot of pull in that ward too, because there is going to be a new person regardless, because there was no incumbent returning.
Well, certainly. We can maybe talk for a moment on the 2 wards that do have some returns coming in at this point, and starting off with Ward 6. We've got 5 candidates seeking that single position from Ward 6, and we just had a recent update here with 2 polls of 3 returning, and Chris Nutt is pulled away by a very significant margin. And he is a newbie to the political scene, and he's ahead of another newbie in Taylor Lockwood. So the incumbent there, Paul Collard, is sitting in 3rd currently, and has a lot of votes to make up. And if he's to overcome the lead, Chris Nutt. So there's a riding where Chris Nutt is a new guy coming in, Taylor Lockwood, a person coming in. Kind of struck a chord when we heard them speak in Stevensville about 2 weeks ago. They talked about new ideas and new strategies, and along the lines of the collaboration and the unity, and more to build Fort Erie through consensus, and I think a lot of what said that night, and as well, it resonated with the crowd that was in Stevensville.
Oh yeah,
and I think we're probably witnessing that with what's transpiring here this evening.
and like I said, people looking at Mr. Wayne Ridicop, or the past mayor Ridicop, still in the lead with Stephen Pacero, but it's still 3 of 9. So there's still 6 polling stations still to come in, but it's still any man's race for sure, or because depending on what wards have reported in, because let's face it, Anne Marie Noyes has a stronger following more in the Stevensville and Ridgeway area. So who knows what wards have been reported in, because unfortunately it doesn't show you by wards, it shows you as the polls come in. So yeah, it's still right now any person's race, and it's getting kind of exciting to see the numbers as they're slowly coming in. And we're definitely, it's getting exciting. So as more comes in, we keep informing you. But I think this is going to be a very close race, I think, for basically all departments. Even with the regional counselors right now, Sandy Azenada is still in the lead by 39.42, and Montiel's 29.31. So it's a very close race.
Yeah, and if that holds true, that would be considered a fairly sizable upset. Sandy Annunziata, of course, the former counselor with the town of Fort Erie, and as I said a few moments ago, campaigned extremely hard throughout the town, and right now he's sitting at a little over 400 votes of the incumbent John Kale.
Yeah, and as we're coming in now, it's 4 polling stations. Wayne Ridikoff is still at 50.24, and Stephen Pedro is at 27.54 out of 4 of 9. So there's still 5 polling stations that need to come in to give you the final reports. We're seeing that for sure, and we're waiting for other ones. We still haven't heard anything yet from Ward 1. 4 or 5. In Ward 1, we definitely had some interesting people that came out this time around. Even a very young man that said he's been trying for 7 years, getting ready for this election, and he's, I believe, around 21 or something like that. And he's really put his heart on the stake for this election. And he did actually come up quite knowledgeable at the all candidates night.
Well, you're right, Trent. When we hosted the All Candidates Night at the Leisureplex for Wards 1, 2, and 3, a true political newbie came out of the woodwork, a young guy by the name of Andrew Wake. And I think he kind of stole the room that night with some of the thoughts and ideas and comments that he had. I think a lot of people walked out of there with kind of a different viewpoint of Andrew Aiken. He came across as articulate. He came across knowledgeable on issues, and he came across with some fresh ideas and perspectives that he brought to our candidates. So I think if that young man doesn't necessarily find success this evening, I think if he continues on the path he's on, at some point in time in the not too distant future, we'll be saying that man is some form of representative, either at some form of political position.
Okay. We just got some results for the Ward 3. It looks like Kimberly Zanko is definitely taking notice in that area because she has 1,020 votes, 66.71% from one polling station. That's a big number compared to the other 2 representatives out there. So it's really could be almost looks like a Kimberly Zanko win, but we still have 1 more polling station. But that's a big vote.
Yes, certainly is. That's the former position that was held by Bob Steckley. Bob Steckley, the former 2-term counselor for Ward 3, who decided to not seek re-election in his ward and try his luck at the regional council level. And he's currently sitting 3rd place in that 4-horse race. But you're right, Kim Zankel, a former president of the Greater Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce, and it looks like she has nicely pulled away from her 2 opponents with sitting at almost 800 votes up on her nearest rival, Sue Salzer. So she looks a strong candidate to be the replacement for Councillor Steckley in Ward 3.
And let's see. We're still waiting also for Ward 4. We have Marina Butler and John Hill. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see who's going to be coming out of that race, because you do have an incumbent and you also have a person that's very quite active. And now that, speaking of that, it just came in. Marina Butler's definitely made a major impact from 1 polling station. She has 127. So basically, that's, and then John Hill has 424. So that's a major jump for Marina too. So like I said, we have 1 more polling report, but that's a big jump for her too.
Well, it's a very interesting result, because there's the incumbent John Hill, representative of the Ridgeway area, and in 2nd place in a 2-person race by 600 votes. So obviously the people have spoken, as they say, in these elections. When you see incumbents go down, there's I believe that Marina Butler may be the next Ward 4
Right.
councillor.
And now we're also looking at the mayoral. It's still Wayne Riddick with the 9 polling stations still coming, like 3 more polling stations coming in. He's at 49.83, and Stephen Prestero's at 25.53, but Anne-Marie is slowly catching up. So like I said, right now we have 3 more stations. So who's to know what's going to be coming in very soon?
Well, it's been fairly consistent right from the first poll. Trent with the race that the former Wiley veteran Wayne Reddicoff, he's holding fairly consistent as the polls continue to come back, about a 2-to-1 ratio over his nearest rival, and that being Stephen Becerra. It's fairly consistent, and as each poll continues to report. So, as you said, he's got 50% of the vote compared to Stephen at 26% of the vote. So, what's kind of interesting is the Ward 5 in race in Crystal Beach. We have the incumbent Don Luberts ahead of 3 challengers coming in. The closest one being Kim Carey, and he holds about 110 vote lead.
A very close race,
and it's showing signs of being that's one of 2 polls that have reported to date. So that is fairly close. Back towards 6 in Stevensville, no there. 2 of the 3 polls reporting. It's Chris Nutt with the lead over another political be Taya Lockwood. So the incumbent there looks strongly like they could be going out this evening as well, that being Paul Collard.
And the other thing that we're also noticing here, also in Ward 2, the veteran Rick Schuler is definitely ahead. Like, he has 947 compared to 404 votes. So, like, it looks like it's going to be Rick Schuler. But like I said, there's still 2 polling stations that have to come in still. With that sort of number, you're definitely seeing a potential there for sure.
Yeah, certainly another veteran of municipal government, has served a number of terms representing Ward 2, Rick Schuler. Ran a very honest and open campaign, as well as our all candidates night that we hosted, as well as did his opponent John Mullicone. He threw his hat in the ring there fairly late in the campaign. But so well, we had the candidates from Wards 1, 2, and 3, and there again another gentleman who had interesting ideas and comments and perspective on some of the different hot button items within the town. So doing fairly well, but looks like he's running significantly in years of the veteran Rick Schuler.
Right. And so far, we're still waiting to hear back from some of these polling stations. But even our trustees that we're looking at here, for example, Heather Pike, she's definitely pulling off a good race there. And for the District Catholic School Board, Jules, I do apologize, but Jules, I don't want to mess up the last name here.
I believe it's Jules Letourneau.
Okay, well,
Jules Letourneau. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
Until we're correct.
And Michael,
Michael Kamatovic.
There you go.
And that's fairly surprising. It's very tight. He has a 300 vote lead over the current incumbent, Dave Schauble. But as we said at the outset, some contentious issues with the district school board there and the schools within Fort Erie. A couple of schools closed and a new school reopened. The issue about closing schools in Ridgeway and finding commonality as to a location to replace 3 schools and build 1 out there. I know it's very contentious, and I think the site that they had was shot down. So So sometimes these issues, resonate with the populace and the electorate, and it could be a case in point tonight where on some of these different ward races where the people are speaking.
And now we're looking at Ward 1, and definitely George McDermott has come out with the lead. But like I said, it's just 1 of 3, but it's a very close race. Almost everyone's in still a range of winning. Like, it's a very small margin between all the other people. So this is going to be a very tight race, I think, for sure.
Well, it's interesting what we're seeing develop so far and unfold. With one poll reporting, it is fairly close. George McDermott is pulled ahead. Of course, there is no incumbent in the Ward 1 race. The incumbent, Stephen Pissarro, is chosen to run for mayor, and he's currently sitting in second position in his fight to replace Doug Murray. But in Ward 1, George McDermott is the front runner of a team of 4 that are all seeking political office for the first time, and he's holding a 34 vote lead over second place, Rob Dunn.
Yeah, and like I said, and all these people are new. George McDermott, he has done a lot for the town and everything that for Fort Erie. He did run for the past election, and he's definitely has put a lot of effort and work into the town of Fort Erie, and like it's starting to get noticed, which I think he's very happy about, because now with 2 polls in, he's still ahead. But Rob Dunn is definitely still very close in this race. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. And now also, I think with 2 of 3 polls, it still looks like it's going to be Rick Schuler for Ward 2 for sure. And we're still waiting for other ones. And basically, as polls come in, I think it's going to be basically we're looking at William Riddickhoff as our new mayor.
Well, I think you're right, Trent. I think it's fairly safe at this point to assume, with 8 of 9 polls reporting in almost a 2,000 vote lead, that we're going to be seeing former Mayor Wayne Riddickhoff returning to the helm and leading council at the Horseshoe for the next 4 years.
Right, and Stephen Pissarro, you got to give him hats off, because for trying for his first time for mayor, he's definitely put in a lot of effort, and getting a lot of this vote. I think you're definitely looking at growth potential there for sure.
Well, certainly, Stephen, as we talked about earlier, articulates well. I think he's well thought of in the town. I think probably one of the biggest things that went against him in talking to different people in town was the fact that his age at 35, and the fact that he was a one-term councilor. Perhaps maybe he would have been better served to have sat another term as a councilor. But hey, you got to take your chances when you see them, and without the incumbent being there, he definitely decided it was an opportunity and a chance to take. And he's done extremely well. He's garnered almost 2,200 votes here today, 8 of 9 polls reporting. So he's done a very good job.
Yeah, so hats off to Stephen, and Stephen, just keep on working, because you never know. The next 4 years, you're going to be right back at it, and you got a fair chance, because it definitely shows that there's a lot of people in the town that are on your side. So I would say congratulations even to our the people that went out there and voted. This, like I said, took a lot of guts, and all these people that are running for mayor and councilors and regional councilors, hat off all these, because you guys are doing a good job. And it's definitely, it is an election, but it does show that you guys all have hearts.
Well, certainly. Just looking while you're talking there, Trent, at the regional council position, and it looks like Sandy Annunziata is going to replace John Teal with 8 of 9 polls reporting. Sandy Annunziata has an 800 vote lead over the incumbent, John Teal. So that is certainly coming down as I would say, an upset.
Yeah, definitely. and the district board of school of Niagara. That's still a very close race between the incumbent and Michael. Like there is definitely a close race there for sure. So, like I said, and that's out of 8 and that, and also the other ones. There's still more people coming in, but as it goes in, we're definitely seeing lead stuff, but it's still anybody's race because it's very close numbers, just like the other polls that we're experiencing here. We're still waiting for Ward 3 to come in, and we're also waiting for Ward 4, 5, 6, and 1. So it's still a pretty close race in all the wards. So, like I said, we just gotta wait for a few more, and then we should be able to tell you who's going to be our next council.
Well, yeah, further to that point, I'm just been kind of looking here, Trent. It looks like with certainty we're going to have new representation, first timers in Ward 6, Ward 4, Ward 3, and Ward 1. Four wards are going to have first time elected councilors filling those positions. So the incumbent Ward 2, Rick Schuler, looks like he's going to fairly healthily get back in, and Ward 5 is still tight with one of 2 polls reporting. There's about 110 vote separation between the incumbent Don Roberts and the second place rival, King Carey. So that's still fairly tight, but appearing to be in a fairly comfortable lead at this point.
And we also have Mark Wilkie. He was another person that put a lot of time due diligence. He's pretty close too. So, like I said, it's still an any man's race, really, because we're just waiting for these polls to come in.
Yeah, certainly we could see some adjustment here with only one of the polls reporting. We continue to receive 8 of 9 of the mayor polls reporting, and as we said earlier, Wayne Redikoff appears to be going to be coming back to the town of Fort Erie as mayor again. He's still with almost a 2,000 lead over the next opponent being Stephen Pissarro. So there again will be led by a former experienced mayor, Wayne Redikoff, who served the town well prior, and he'll have his challenge with a lot of new people. He'll be relying upon the veterans around the horseshoe, and what appears to be Rick Schuler and at this point with 5 to be the anchor. Wayne Redikoff is to potential incumbents that would be returning.
And the excitement here on the floor, like there's a lot of people here that are glued to the board because they're waiting for those last numbers to come in. So I was telling you that it's exciting. It's almost like an exciting night out to see what's going on.
Well, it certainly is. Whenever there's, because this is the heartbeat of the town. We vote provincially, we vote federally, but it's the grassroots representation that for the majority of people within the town.
And that's what makes our town special, because of the fact that we have such a passionate town. It definitely shows in election for sure. Because look at these numbers; like they have definitely surpassed. Just looking at the same numbers, you're getting a lot more of a turnout this election than the past election for sure.
Well, it certainly appears so, Trent. At first glance, we're not really privy to the numbers that we had in 2010. We don't have them here before us this evening, unfortunately. But you're right, I did concur with you. At first glance, it does look like the overall voter turnout is greater than what it was in 2010, and that's just a testament to you, the voting public, for coming out, being involved, and becoming engaged in this election.
Yeah. And just to let you know, there's a little bit of action going on with a little kid running around. It's kind of cute. So if you guys hear that, it's just part of the being live here. So this is our first time doing this kind of things, and if you guys like it, we're going to keep on doing stuff like this, because let's face it, this chamber wants to be active, and we want to show you people that we are the voice of business, and this election is definitely a part of our voice of business.
Well, you're 100% right. And this is just a testament to technology today and some of the people that we have on our board. And I think that this is a tremendous testament to the individual sitting beside me, Trent Matthews, for arranging for this live streaming here this evening. And certainly, as I said to him earlier before we went on the air, it wouldn't be possible without his involvement here tonight. So I tremendously thank him as president for his involvement and his commitment, doing a job that I think is beneficial to you, the voting public, and to you, our membership of the Greater Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce.
Well, I appreciate it, but my main thing is to help out as best as I can, because I do have talents that I would like to give back to the community, and this is one thing for sure that needs to be done, because the better we can educate people, this helps us grow as a community, and why not use my skills for better for that? So we're definitely doing that. I'm seeing over there Kimberly Zenko. She's definitely happy. She's getting the post up. She's pretty well knows that she's probably got the position for Ward 3. So I know she's probably totally ecstatic right now for sure.
Yeah, like I said earlier, we've got change. We've got change, and we heard it through the all candidates nights. We've heard it resonate throughout the community. There's an appetite for change. There's a change in direction, just a change in attitude, if you will, with regards to the representation of what you, the electorate, wanted. And I think we're seeing that come back here this evening. A return to a former mayor who obviously resonated well with people, because he's garnered almost 4,200 votes, 2-to-1 ratio over the next individual, Stephen Pissarro. We're seeing change in Ward 1. Of course, the incumbent that wasn't running there. We're seeing change in Ward 3. We're seeing change in Ward 4. And we're seeing change in Ward 6. So to sum up in a word, the selection this evening within the Greater Fort Erie area, I would say it's about change.
Definitely. And now that we have 2 coming in for Ward 1, it's still a very much nail biter race. With polling stations still to come in, it's too close to call right now who's going to be the thing. But so far, George McDermott is still ahead, but it's a very, very close race.
Yes, you're right. With 2 or 3 polls reporting, George McDermott a 34 vote lead over Rob Dunn. So, that's far from over in that race.
Right, and like I said, but everywhere else, it's looking at the numbers coming in, and it's good to see that we're getting this much action. Still, Chris Hutt is still in the lead with Kay Lockwood in second place, but Paul Collier is showing a little bit of momentum coming up into the second place with 1 polling station, and that could still be anybody's race, depending on how many people voted in that last polling station. For example, for Ward 5, we're looking still at a very close race, so that will be an interesting one to see. But I think with Ward 4 and Ward 3, we're basically seeing, like you're saying, change there, because that is an amazing vote for both stations right off of the first polling. There is definitely going to be changes on that one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And certainly in Ward 4, hey, hats off to Marina Butler. She's someone that both you and I know fairly well. In sitting on the Greater Fort Erie Chamber of Commerce, she just came off this past year. She was on with Trent, and hey, good on her. A very successful businesswoman. Her and her former husband got Erie Personnel Corporation going, and she's built it up in Fort Erie and done extremely well. And I decided to throw her hat to the political ring, and what it looks like through one of two polls reporting, she's built up a fairly comfortable lead at this point. So,
and she also wears her heart on her sleeve, which is a lot of things that you need for people that are candidates, because they got to care about these too. And for Marina, for sure, I think that's one thing that world's going to really get is somebody that actually cares and see. I'm not taking that away from John. I'm just saying, but with Marina, I've seen that because of personal experiences with Marina. She's always trying to help out, and because she's basically sponsors so many local events and everything like that. Everywhere you go, it's Employment Professional Canada is a sponsor, so that's definitely gives you a lot there for sure.
No, certainly she's an individual who does a lot for the community and doesn't always take the forefront or the acknowledgement for it. She likes to kind of stay hidden in the background for that. Good for her. She ran obviously she's run a real good race.
Well, she's saying that she basically was also telling us that she's been doing about 6 hours a day, knocking on doors, talking to people. So she's basically has done her due diligence on this election for sure. Now we're still waiting for for other polls to come in. Still, no polls are fully finished yet, but still looks like it's going to be Wayne Riddickop for sure. Sandy Azzanato definitely. Actually, that's official. Sandy Azzanato is the winner with 37.08, and also Mayor Wayne Riddickop is now the official mayor with 5,329 votes. He had 50.63 with Stephen Pissarro second for 25.98. So there's definitely there. Ward 1 is now officially 2. George McDermott is the official winner. Rick Schuler is definitely Ward 2. Kim Zenko is the winner. Marina Butler is now the incumbent. It looks like Don Luberts is still Ward 5. And Chris Nutt is the new candidate. For the trustees, we're looking at Michael. I'll let you say the last name.
Michael Kamatovic is sitting on about close to a 400 vote lead with 9 of 10 polls reporting for the trustee position for the District School Board of Niagara over the incumbent David Schaubel.
And Heather Pike is definitely still in the lead, and Jules is still in the lead. And that's very interesting on the numbers of people that actually voted in that race. I'm just looking at 5 and 25. That's a unusual low numbers for that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not really fully that versed at that school board or that position of trustee, but obviously a few votes could make a difference. Not a whole lot of votes cast for that position.
Yeah. So once again, people, our new mayor is Mayor Wayne Riddickop. Sandy Azzanato, it will be our new regional chamber. Ward 1 is definitely going to be George McDermott, and he's here, so he is probably really happy about the outcome. Rick Schuler is definitely back in there and he's been around for a while in long term, which is very strong for his ward, and you can definitely show people like what he's doing because they voted him back in. Marina definitely is there, so she must be totally excited that she's got in. Kim Zanko, once again, she's won. Don Luberts, he's back in as an incumbent. So we have 2 incumbents, but all, like you said, brand new people.
Yeah, and just looking at and going around the horseshoe, we're going to be our leader at the horseshoe at municipal council will be former Wayne Redikoff. So it's not going to take him a whole lot of time and energy. And as we witnessed him in his campaign in getting up to speed to the issues, he's well versed at the issues, and he was an effective mayor when he passed. I would anticipate he'll do well by Fort Erie again. Obviously, the people wanted him back. I think that's highly reflective of what we've seen tonight. As each poll closed, he held basically from the outset about a 2-1 margin in vote. That being said, he'll be buoyed with 2 returning councillors that will be looked upon for assisting the new people that are coming on board. One being Rick Schuler from Ward 2 and the other being Don Liberts from Ward 5. They both look like they're returning, and they're going to be having to show the direction, show the way for 4 new people that are coming on council. What month or 6 weeks time when they're sworn in? George Dermott, Ward 1, Kimberly Zankel, Ward 3, Marina Butler for Ward 4, and Chris Nutt for Ward 6. So, as we said, change. We heard a lot about it leading to this election. People want different voices, different style of representation, and I think it's resonated with what we see tonight.
Yeah, it's just, but like I said, and if you look at the numbers, it definitely shows you that there was a lot of people out this election for sure that went out and voted, because they're not like low numbers or anything like that. They're definitely high numbers for sure. And yeah, they're just amazingly growth for sure. And that's one thing that I see for sure that's been resonating for sure coming into this election.
And I guess we should just re-mention again too the regional council position. That's going to have to be going there for the first time in a number of years. Long time incumbent John Teal has been unseated.
Yep.
By first-time candidate for regional position, Sandy Annunziata. So, as we said earlier, Sandy Annunziata was a former town councillor with Fort Erie and decided to run regionally. And as I've said, ran an aggressive campaign. And well, he's the benefactor this evening because he's unseated a political veteran for a long time in John Teal, and he finished up about almost a 900 vote or 840 vote.
He's out there doing a touchdown dance.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the former football player before he entered
Grey Cup winner,
political arena.
Yeah, Grey Cup winner for the Virgo. But no, it's definitely. But besides being athletic, he's very much a very smart person. So it will be very good to see him representing our town in regional council.
Well, there again, people spoke. They want to change and they want some new voices. So as we've seen with 4 wards in town and now with the regional council, we're going to have new voices representing the greater Fort Erie people.
As we're just waiting for basically one more poll for the District School Board of Niagara, the Niagara Catholic Board, one more poll, and basically two more polls for that board, and also one more for the Catholic School Board. We're still waiting for one more poll. We're going to stay here until we get all the results for you. I know some of you are probably either hugging each other or drinking a beer and saying what happened, but either way, we're glad that we can do this for you, Fort Erie, because like I said, we want to show you guys that we're here for time for business too. And that's one thing for sure that we are looking at. And as we grow in this town, if you like what you're seeing, we're going to keep doing these kind of live coverages, because I think as council, as our board of directors and our as the voice of business, we should be more proactive in the community and showing people what we can do for sure.
Well, certainly, and it's not to be taking a political stance one way or the other, but what it's all about is encouraging people to be active, to participate, to be involved, to know what's going on within your community. Well, we are, Greater Fort Chamber of Commerce, we're out advocating on behalf of business. Now, be that small business, be that medium business, be that big business. We want to create the foundation for small business, medium business, large business to have success within Fort Erie. And if that means advocating for you, on behalf of you, to the local municipal level of government, or be it at the regional level of government, or be it at the provincial and or federal level of government. That's what we're here to do, to be the voice of business and to work on your behalf.
Yeah, I couldn't even say it better than that, folks. That's why I like being on the board of directors. Anybody, my friends that follow me on Facebook, I always put, did I ever tell you I really like being on the board of directors? It's because I want to see change. I want to work to make Fort Erie a place for people to come to and do business here, because let's face it, this is our home. This is where we want people to come. This is where we want people to grow our families. And that I have 2 daughters. Rick has a few kids of his own here, and we want to stay and grow here because this is a great town and it needs the growth that this town needs. And I think the councilors that we're seeing coming in, we're definitely going to see that, I think, for sure, and how things are going to grow for sure.
Well, yeah, just sitting here, Trent, while you're talking, I'm just thinking that one of the challenges that with a neophyte, if you will, council, where you got more than half that are first timers, the challenge will be for them to get up to speed quickly and efficiently to no issues, no protocol, know the ins and outs of the municipal act, governance locally, and how the whole sitting around the horseshoe works. One of the first challenges, of course, will be the budget and the budgeting for 2015. And they'll have their challenges. It's tonight's a night of celebration. Tomorrow will be the beginning of new challenges. And, I think it's always easy to campaign on when you're a first timer as to, what's wrong and what should be done and, change this, change that. Now the challenge will be for these people to get in there and work in the bowels of the town of Fort Erie to find out just truthfully how things do work and to effectively look to make the change and provide a different path and hopefully a different a better opportunity for all of us going forward.
Yeah. It's quite interesting because as we're waiting for the last ones in, I noticed how the room quickly cleared out. You can definitely tell that the town was